There needs to be regulation
Absolutely. Like, what would be your criteria?
for all NBA or MVP.
Let's start with all NBA.
All NBA. I don't know really.
Obviously, games played. I would
yeah,
say
games
60.
played. Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's put games played,
That-
we need to factor team success in.
More money, more problems. More guns, more violence. I beat a couple cases.
Jason Tatum said himself. He said there needs to be. I'm paraphrasing. There needs to be some sort of criteria for how to vote. Like how many games you play. Like how, you're eligible by how many games. I would say 60 games, because 50 games is not enough. Like, I'm sorry, no sir. 60 games. He said something about I forgot what else it was, but the whole games played thing is very important.
There needs to be an MVP voting criteria too.
Absolutely.
If you're not a top 4 seed, I don't even want to see your name on the ballot.
I don't know.
I don't want to see your name on the ballot.
So Russell Westbrook winning MVP, you didn't like it?
Huh?
You didn't like Russell Westbrook winning MVP? He kind of deserved it. Triple-double since Oscar Robertson.
I'll give him that. That was a historical season, so
Okay.
I'll give him that.
I think, and then like Steve Nash over Kobe, Steve Nash over Shaq, 2006. Over LeBron. That was one of the worst MVP votings I've ever seen in my life. How you have Steve Nash over LeBron, Kobe, and Shaq? Made absolutely no sense. And then in 05 too, like I didn't like. Come on now, come on. Just makes no sense. But
there needs to be regulation
absolutely. Like, what would be your criteria?
for all NBA or MVP.
Let's start with all NBA.
All NBA. I don't know really.
Obviously, games played. I would say
games
60.
played. Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's put games played. We need to factor team success in.
I would say
a little bit, not too much though.
I don't know, because
people was mad LeBron was only third team, but I'm like, his team didn't make the playoffs.
I don't know,
so
because if you look at Jokic's team, they won 48 games.
And
he didn't have, but they were the 6th seed though. They won 48 games. That's still really good, So if you win 48 games, but you're the 6th seed, that just goes to show that the West, they're like top heavy, like top 5 teams. They played pretty well that year. And as we know with the Western Conference in recent past, AC will win 49 games or 50 games in some seasons. So it's really tough, man. It's really hard. I just think NFL does it the best. I would probably go NFL criteria. Yeah, I would go NFL criteria, because when have they rarely gotten it wrong?
Yeah, you got a point. The only problem is MVP is pretty much just the QB award in the NFL.
That's a good point.
It needs to, if there was an offensive MVP and a defensive MVP, then or a non-QB award, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what's the offensive player.
Because you know how hard it is to win an MVP not a QB. Like it's insanely hard.
That's what the offensive player of the year is for. So, but we all know that's sort of people don't really look at that.
Still though, like QBs, like they are they are like the point guard of the offense. But sometimes they get graded on a curve for these MVP votes.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's always, every year it's either Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes won, the Lamar won. Like it's always the QB. When was the last time a non-QB won the MVP?
Adrian Peterson. But yeah, the NFL rarely gets it wrong, and I just think that the NBA needs to apply some of those formulas from the NFL, to their voting system, because what they're doing right now is just not working, because they're looking at it. There's no like consistent basis of how to vote. Because if you look at back when Steve Nash's era, like it was totally different. Like Steve Nash would not win the MVP this year. He would not win it. Like you look at a Jokic if the same criteria was applied back then, Kobe probably would have won it in 06, or maybe LeBron. Because LeBron, he had a top 4 seed, like averaged 28, probably 7-7 or something like that, shot 50% from the field. That criteria would have won LeBron or Kobe an MVP, or maybe even Shaq an MVP. But yeah, they just need to change it overall. I don't know what else could we 60 games, obviously. I feel like there has to be a certain number of wins. You have to win a certain number of games in order to qualify. And then depending,
that's interesting though, because like teams with like really good players who just happen to be like, what if they missed the threshold? What if like LeBron missed the threshold by like one game, and even though he had a great season, you're like, well, you can't get on here, even though you average like 30 points a game.
It's so hard to really like. It's so.
I think it's people gonna complain regardless. I just think this just needs to be more consistency among the board and stop giving certain people votes and credentials for that kind of stuff.
It's so hard
because obviously they not putting the right people up there.
It's so hard to really like decide like, okay, what is a good number of wins? What is a good seed for an MVP? You know what I mean? Like because you're looking at like what they were dealt with and how they overcame it. Were they able to uplift their team, elevate their team to a level that they shouldn't have, right? Or maybe reach their potential, you know? So it's hard to really say. Maybe projections before the season, or maybe during the season, what the projections are, like with Denver when they lost Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., what the projections were at the time. And maybe people were saying, oh, they're not going to make the playoffs, or there'll be 8th seed or whatever. But then, you know, with Jokic and him doing his own thing, and they were able to get that 6th seed. So maybe you could do that. I don't know. But it's hard. It's hard to say. But they have to figure it out.
Yes, please.
They have to figure it out.
Because why wasn't Steph first team? I have no idea.
What? You thought Steph should have been first team?
Yeah. The best point guard in the league couldn't get first.
After that slump in the second half?
Still, what seed was his team? The 4th?
No, his team was the 3rd.
Third? Come on now.
Nah, he shouldn't have been all NBA.
Yes, he should have.
Not over Luka.
Over Book, he should have been.
Book was tied. No, Book played better than him in the second half. Steph had
to carry for like a whole son. The carrying Steph had to do the first half of the season before Clay even came back.
Book had to carry too without Chris Paul.
He had DeAndre Ayton, Defensive Player of the Year runner-up Mikal Bridges, and campaign somehow stepped up.
DeAndre Ayton. First of all, DeAndre Ayton was out of the lineup a lot some of the times too. So let's not act like DeAndre Ayton was always playing. How do I know that? Because I had him on my fantasy team. And yes, I play fantasy. And yeah, Devin Booker, he was just solid for the most part. I'm not mad at Devin Booker getting that first team All-NBA. I'm mad that Joel Embiid didn't get the first team All-NBA. That's what I'm mad at. That didn't make no sense. But Luka, I'm not mad at. Devin Booker, I'm not mad at. Jokic, obviously, like, no question. I'm not going to be mad at that. Jason Tatum, that's a different story. He should have been second team. I'm trying to figure, like, I like Kevin Durant, but why is he in the second team? How many games? Didn't he miss a good amount of time? And didn't this team lose a lot of games until all of a sudden Kyrie came out of nowhere? Oh, we're going to let him play. Remember that?
Yeah.
They put him in second team, so
I mean, who would you put there instead of him?
Well, Jason Tatum.
Oh,
he should have been there.
You can put 2 forwards on there, so.
Yeah. I forgot who was on there. I know Steph was on there. Ja was on there.
Ja was second team?
Yeah, he was second team.
Ooh, that's pretty interesting.
Ja was on there. Cat was third team, I think. Joel Embiid was on there. Ja, Steph, it was KD, Joel Embiid. Who's the fifth one? I don't remember who's the fifth one, but yeah, I don't remember who's the fifth one. But yeah, again, it should have been Joel Embiid on there instead of Jason Tatum.
I put my life in these sentences. Fucking right, it's either that or life sentences. I'm relatives with Benjamin. I used to give a